Today we're reviewing my new Faber-Castell pen. What up friends, Liron here. Thank you for joining me in another video. Many of you probably have seen my sketching process in Allenby Street in Tel Aviv, where I finally used my new Faber-Castell pen, the Ecco Pigment. I got two, size 03 and 04. I have no idea where my 03 is, I just lost it, and I'm now just with this one, which is the 04. You can see it here at the tip. I'm not sure if it will focus. Here we have it, and you can also see it here on the side. Okay, so I'm only left with my 04 for now. I'll get a new 03, and I actually kind of like this one. Now there are a few observations that I made just from using it in the sketch and even in today's video, and I will try to share my opinion of this one. Now the too long didn't read version, the TLDR version of this video is I love this one and I'm gonna use it extensively. I think the Staedtler pigment liner is still my favorite, although this could take over that one. Okay, so if you haven't tried Faber-Castell's, I recommend you try them out. This video, of course, is not sponsored by them. I bought these pens. They didn't even send them to me or something like this. I never even contacted them, I believe. But anyway, really, I loved this one. So I recommend you check it out. And we can just get going, change the angle, and start reviewing this. I will demo how I use it and just show you the lines it produces. It has some very good stats, waterproof and just excellent light fastness and all of that. We'll discuss that in a moment. It's really good for watercolor as well because it is waterproof and it is also acid-free, which is really important. So anyway, let's change the angle and get going. So let's take a closer look at the pen. I wish I could say pens, but again, I lost the 03, unfortunately. So, Faber-Castell Ecco Pigment, okay, so this is the one. It says here that it is waterproof. It has excellent, light fastness basically, resistance to light. It's supposed to be waterproof. Yeah, so this one is great, I guess, for watercolor sketching, as long as it does the sketching job right. The size is once again 04. You can see it here as well on the tip, at the tip of the pen, and also to the side. I'm not sure if this is like from the main line of Faber-Castell or if there is a more common one, I guess, because sometimes the supplies we get here in Israel are not necessarily the ones that are considered common in the US or something like this. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just rearrange the camera and play around with it a bit, see what it feels like. I do have some reference experience with it from the previous sketching process I shared with you, so it could be nice to build upon that. So I have my trusty Excel mixed media sketchbook here, and I'm gonna the table is transparent so you can see actually my legs through it. So I'm just gonna play around with it, and as I mentioned, I already used it a bit, and so I did become a bit more familiar with it. This is actually the first time I'm using the 04, because so far I only used the 03 one. Okay, and so, but it's basically a very similar pen, just different size. I have to say, based on the way the tip looks, it appears to be much thinner, and hopefully it will focus. Yeah, it appears to be much thinner compared to other brands. Not on paper, but rather here, the way it actually appears. I'm not sure why that is, but it's just something I noticed. So anyway, I'm just drawing some lines, kind of some random shapes. I'm still left with that same feeling I talked about in the YouTube video. Let me zoom in a bit just so you can better see the lines produced. So as I mentioned, I have this same feeling towards it, that it has some very positive qualities. So for example, if I change the angle to be a little lower here, you can see the lines that it produces are still very smooth and very even, despite the angle. Okay, you can see a bit of a shift, but not significant. Usually with these sketching pens, the more you hold them like this, sort of perpendicular, I guess, to the at a 90-degree angle to the surface, the better the line quality is. And the more you go like this at an angle, you start losing the edge. And with this one, I don't feel it at all, okay? Just a fun little idea, and I'm gonna do a video about this one, to practice sort of three-dimensional shapes and your three-dimension perception is to just make these random squiggles and then sort of complete them into a three-dimensional shape. I will cover that in a future video. I think it's a really good exercise. I've been doing this actually since I was really, really young. Just having fun with it, and I think it's a great tool. So anyway, yeah, this is definitely something I noticed with this one. It's just really has good quality line. Another thing, and this really caught me by surprise, is that it glides really smoothly on the paper. I can barely feel the friction, which is just a very weird experience. And I think it actually takes a bit of getting used to, because friction, it can sound like it's something that may annoy you or produce lesser results, but in fact it is friction that helps us control the lines we make, because something stops us from going over the top or maybe missing something. So for example, if I have this sort of very similar shape to the one I did earlier, just a box, and I want to shade this part, and I want to just use some line work to shade it. So the more friction there is, the easier it can be for me to stop here at the line and still use very quick, rapid lines and stop at the right moment. Now, the less friction, like with this one, it sort of slides on the paper really smoothly, and you can kind of go a bit over the line, over it, you see? Like this, very easily. So again, could be an advantage, could be a disadvantage, depending on what you're interested in. In terms of ergonomics, this one is really comfortable. I like the way it feels in my hand. It doesn't feel like it moves too much or something like this. It's just the right length, I think. If it would be a little shorter, I do feel like it's a little shorter compared to other ones. So I have here the Micron. Okay, so they're really almost the same. I just missed that one. So they're really kind of similar shape. It's actually a little longer than the Micron. This one is really worn out, as you can see. I don't think I have a Staedtler handy. I do have a Staedtler different kind of pen, the Lumo color. And you can see that this one is a little longer, okay? So kind of maybe a bit longer than the Faber-Castell. Or maybe the same, just really similar. So anyway, the length itself is similar, but I do feel that if it would have been shorter, it would be a problem. It feels like the cap is maybe... No, it's just a very similar length. So anyway, one thing I noticed is a bit stupid, but when I put the cap here, in the 03 one at least, it would fall really easily. With this one, it doesn't feel like that, so this is another nice thing. There's this very unique design here that I like. I think it would be good if you want to sort of put it on a strap or something like this. But anyway, overall, really a good pen I enjoy using so far. And I would recommend to give it a shot, especially if the Micron Pigma, specifically the Micron Pigma, sort of gives you some trouble. I would definitely go ahead and try this one. I really love the Staedtler, and I think I will use mostly Staedtler in the future. But this one is really a close contestant, let's say that. So I may find out actually that I prefer this one over the Staedtler. So anyway, just because it's really really smooth on the paper, and I just think I may need a bit more time to get used to it. But you can see here I'm just sort of scribbling away, and it feels really good. I really like this one. So anyway, yeah, this is it, I think, in terms of the review. In terms of the pricing, I think it would really depend on where you are physically, geographically. I don't remember how much this went for, but I think it was the equivalent maybe of like $4 or $5 bucks, something like this, $4 or $5 US, maybe for one. But this is what I remember. I'm not certain about it, so don't quote me on that one. You may get it for much cheaper than that. So anyway, yeah, this is it. You see, I just scribbled away, and sometimes I just have these days where I'll actually fill in a whole page with just squiggly lines and shapes. Like, I don't know if many of you are familiar with Peter Draws. It's a guy, a really entertaining guy, actually, an artist here on YouTube. His name is Peter. I will try and put a link in the description box below to Peter Draws. I'll write it down for myself because I will forget if not. Just a really funny guy, and he does all sorts of kind of squiggly line art and things that are very maybe intuitive, I guess. He just takes the pen and goes at it. And sometimes I have these kinds of days where I just scribble away all sorts of random shapes. He's really a master of it, which is funny because he always says he's not really like, he never viewed himself in the past as like an artist or in the classical definition of it, I believe. But he just like a guy who likes to sketch and draw. But he's really a master of this, and just a very fun channel, so check it out. So anyway, yeah, this is it. Let's change the angle and wrap this video up. So friends, I hope you enjoyed this review, and I hope you learned something new today, and I really hope you'll give this one a try because I really enjoy it. And the more I use it, the more I'll give you some more updates on it and how I feel about this pen. Maybe I'll get some other sizes. Maybe I'll get some other sort of more brush pens by them because I see that it is a very high quality product. Also follow my stories. Just generally, I recommend you follow my stories on Snapchat and Instagram. It's basically the same, whichever you prefer, where I will share more pen sketches that I'm doing with this one, okay? If you haven't subscribed to my channel, do that now if you want to receive updates for more awesome videos coming in the future. I want to thank you so much for your support and for being a part of this channel. Thank you so much, and I will see you again in the next video.